All right, squatters. Now, Charles, I know that you're a big fan of squatters. Housing is a human right and all, and we got to get affordable housing for everybody. You're a YIMBY slash communist. So tell us about squatters in Texas. You were arrested for this, as BCM once reported. You were arrested in Houston.
Did you say squatting? Was that some forethought that you? I can't remember exactly what you said. You said squatting. That's funny. Mm-hmm. So yes, squatting is an issue in Texas. I think it's something that people are just now realizing is an issue in Texas, but it's a big issue in Texas. Actually, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is the second highest metropolitan area in terms of number of squatters. And there's no database, so this is kind of all anecdotal, but there's about 500 cases right now, they're saying, of squatting.
500 active cases?
Yeah.
Are you donating to their legal fund?
Yes.
I'm not surprised at all.
All the proceeds from this show go
you and Grimes.
So there are 500 active cases. There's reports of hundreds in Houston. And so essentially these people are moving into vacant homes, abandoned homes of, a lot of people will have a parent who passed away and now they're, going to sell the home down the road, but they're not in a rush to do so. Or the home is listed and has been listed for an extensive period of time and people move in and it's not impossible to get them out, but it's very difficult because the second that you call the police and the police show up, if that person claims that they are a resident there, it puts that they can't be removed and you have to go through an eviction process, even if this person does not have an actual lease with you. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah, that does sound kind of weird.
Is this state law or is it local?
It's state
regulation?
Law. It's because the cops, when they show up, they can't differentiate between a real lease, a fake lease, if this is a landlord-tenant dispute. And so the only thing that they can do is push it to eviction court so that the homeowner then has to proceed. This one woman who testified yesterday, Terry Boyette, who lives in Mesquite, Texas, she was at her mother's home in Florida for 3 weeks. Someone called and said someone's living in your house, called Mesquite Police Department. They're like, there's nothing we can do. This is a tenant issue. She's like, I don't have tenants. This is my home. What do you mean? And they're like, there's nothing we can do. You have to go to eviction court. 11 months later, she is still not back in her home because she had to go through eviction court, get a date set. Christmas came. The date was right around Christmas. They issued eviction, but the justice of the peace, and she testified this yesterday, the justice of the peace says, I wouldn't want him to be without a home for Christmas, so I'm going to give it a 30-day extension. She was like, what? Are you kidding me? It was like, and she said she started yelling, her lawyer started yelling, and the judge was like ignored her. And so in the meantime, the man ripped out all her furniture and appliances, sold them, had a garage sale, invited his friends to do crack in the house. So now there's like crack paraphernalia all over. Ripped out the AC out of the wall. So water damage got in, mold damage. She's $150,000 in debt from trying to remediate the house. And she had to keep paying property taxes, her mortgage, utility, and upkeep the outside of the house because the judge said if she didn't, that would be tenant harassment. And
so I'm disappointed that I wasn't invited to this crack party, but what do you do in this? What's her recourse? Does she sue this person? No, obviously the person doesn't have any money.
They don't.
Is this a Seinfeld episode where they become her butler?
I mean, maybe that could be it. I mean, there's no recourse at this point, so she can't sue him. She can only continue to pursue the eviction. The eviction has now been approved, but he's out of the house, but she can't move in because the house is destroyed, so she has to get it rebuilt. And add insult to injury, so she had to live with her mother in Florida while this was all going on because she had no place to live and couldn't afford a second home. She lost her job. Filed for unemployment in Texas, and they said, you can't file because you're not living here full time. And she's like, I'm not living here full time because I don't have a home because I can't go back to it. And they were like, well, sorry, there's nothing we can do.
Sounds like she needs to go squatting. I don't understand why the police couldn't come there and say, we need some sort of evidence that you live here, like a piece of mail or a bill or something like that with your name on it and this address. I think they do that stuff all the time when there's lack of identity.
Yes, but current state law, the way state law is currently is that as long as you show them something that resembles a lease, a paper that says you can live there. And a lot of times what they're doing is just creating these fake leases online. As long as you show them that, they cannot, well, technically they could still pull you out, but they don't want to because then they have to make a determination on the spot whether or not you're lying or not. And there's no way for them to really know other than through an eviction court. And so there's one constable I spoke with here in Harris County who said he goes extra lengths. If they show it to him, he'll contact the homeowner. He'll do all this work. But even then, even if the homeowner says, no, this is not a real lease, he's lying, he still cannot take this person out unless an eviction court gives him the ability to do so. And so this guy said that he does stakeouts outside of the houses to see when they break a law, because then once they break a law, then he can arrest them and pull them out of the house. He's like, but that's the only thing I can do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Shocking. What is the ledge going to do? It seems messy.
Very. So far, they've thrown around the idea of having kind of same day hearings so that, there's a complaint and then the homeowner goes down to the justice of the peace court, signs an affidavit saying this person does not live there. And then they go and remove the person, bring them to court and do a same day hearing. The other option that they're saying is add criminal penalties, but I doubt maybe it'll work because there's no criminal penalties right now. It's only a civil offense.
What?
Yeah. Squatting is a civil.
Stealing people's property is a civil offense?
Well, even though squatting is stealing people's property, it's not considered stealing. It's considered squatting, which is... Well,
I know that you're correct. I know that you're not lying and it's not your rule or law. I get it.
I know, but it's crazy.
If it was your rule or law, then squatting would be legal. But this is absolutely... That's fucking crazy.
It's nuts. It is nuts.
Presumably, there's a lease with... I'm a landlord. There's a lease with my name signed with my signature, and there's a lease with the tenant's name and the tenant's signature, and we both have a copy.
Mm-hmm. No.
So create a fake lease, but it doesn't have my name on it and my signature. It should be.
I can just do a squiggle mark and say that's your signature,
but compare it to my signature.
I know, but that's what he's saying. That they have the cop is not authorized to differentiate between real and fake.
Well, even if they did, the state law says that if a squatter shows what is called color of title, or essentially just a mock lease of some sort, that is enough for them to then put the proceeding on hold until an eviction court goes. So even if they did show this lease, because there was a lady here in Houston, there's a story about it on one of our local stations. She rented a home. She was renting a home out, but it was vacant, $3,600 a month. Come to find out somebody's living in it. It's a whole family. She shows up. They show her a lease, being like, this is our home. And she's like, no, it's not. This is my home. My name's not on this lease. Cops still couldn't do anything. They said, go to eviction court. And she's like, this is crazy.
This is fucking nuts. It reminds me of a story when I was 15, starting, I think, around 13 or 14 years old. I was the youngest of four. My parents just started letting me drive. They were like, we've been over this far too long. We know you can do it. You have a license, just drive. You got it. And it was stupid stuff, like going to the grocery store, whatever, right? My dad took me to his business at night because he had an extra car there and he wanted to drive it home, right? But he doesn't have two people to drive, so he brought me with him. I have experience driving. I think I was 14, 15 at the time. And it was at night, and we pull out of the parking lot of his business, and he zooms along to go home, leaving me in the dust, and I forgot to turn on my headlights. And a cop pulls me over. And the cop is asking, do you have a driver's license? I said, no. Do you have any identification? No. And he asked, well, do you have anything like a letter with your name on it to prove your identity? And of course I don't, because it's my dad's car. And so I have to pull over, get out of the car, and the cop drives me home. And this reminds me, because I'm thinking, well, can't the person just like show them an electric bill that says, hey, I actually do live here. I have this electric bill. It came to me. I'm paying the electricity. I have some sort of, skin in the game here. And it just kind of reminded me of that. At the end of the story is that we got home and my dad could not remember my name to prove my identity. So I had to stay in the cop car longer. But that's like, huh?
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. Couldn't remember. He eventually got it right, but he couldn't remember my middle name. So the officer didn't let it slide. He called me my brother's names first, and then the officer was like, okay, finally he got to my name, and he said, well, what's his full name? Well, Bradley Swail. That's not his full name. What's his full name? What's the middle name? And he couldn't remember. So what are you going to do, right?
There's a lot there that I want to dig into, but we don't have the time or the show for it.
You can see it in Brad's eyes that it still hurts.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I think it's a funny story. This was 13 years ago or more. It was way more than 13. 20,
You're 27.
23 years ago.
Oh.
That was a long time ago.
Can we do the psychology of Brad episode?
I would love that.
Let's do it.
Crack that line open and see what's in there.
You're not going to break this egg. Well, that's a wild story. I hope that I think squatters are scum of the earth and they should be punished severely. And I know that hurts Charles. That's a super scummy thing to do.
It is, yes.
I mean, I don't think it's extreme to say they're scum of the earth. It's not the only way you become scum of the earth, but that is certainly one way. Right?
Well, yeah, intentionally doing it, yes, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people accidentally squat. And if you're accidentally squatting, then you probably say, oh, sorry, that was an accident. I didn't mean to squat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's some innocence there.